the past 8 years, I've been a private sperm donor. In turn, I've helped singles and couples start a family and realize their dreams. Some have been so happy, some of them have referred to me as like a modern-day savior. I don't feel like I perform miracles, so to speak, but I have gotten women pregnant that were told by doctors the chance of getting pregnant was very slim. I have what you would call super swimmers. Out here is a potential client, and somebody contacted me to possibly help them out. I probably donated to about 150 people. I fathered 40 children and another 11 on the way. These kids live in 11 states in the United States and even Mexico. In some ways, I'm kind of like Superman Clark Kent. You know, I got my day job, and at night I put on my cape and become like kind of like a superhero. I've traveled all over the United States. I've traveled even to Europe. I traveled to Sweden and the United Kingdom, making donations and giving samples to women in need. So what I got here is my website where women and couples can go and get some fertility advice on how to get pregnant. A lot of people are interested in my services. This is usually how they contact me. Typically we'll email, we'll text a little bit, and we'll just talk about the process, and then, you know, we end up meeting up. There's two ways we can do this: artificial insemination, and the other is just naturally through sex. The artificial insemination, typically they'll take a cup with my sample and then they'll inject it. This is a 10 milliliter syringe, so typically they would suck up the sample and the female would use for conception. I think usually sex is the most effective way to get pregnant. There has been a couple of times where the woman did want it to be romantic through, you know, something like the boyfriend experience. I've had some women at the end, you know, after we're done, they like to cuddle or they like to talk and get to know each other more. I don't charge for any of my services because it's not about the money, it's about helping them out having a child. I feel like I'm definitely better than a sperm bank. You have clinics switching out vials, you got different embryos switched around, and then you also have these grandpas going around impregnating patients, and no one wants to get pregnant by a grandpa. Come on, it's like, come on, it's your grandpa. In my eyes and clinically, fresh is way better than frozen. I'm 10 times better than a fertility doctor because I've tested all these things. I know what supplements to take, what lifestyle choices to do. I know pretty much way more than any doctor does. I would say I'm probably the #1 fertility expert in the entire world. And I can say that confidently because I actually do get these women pregnant. I would consider myself an extremely fertile guy. There are lots of things I do in my daily life to stay very fertile. Diet plays an extremely huge role in my fertility. Since I eat a healthy, organic, very healthy diet, my sample is very strong and I'm able to have a high success rate compared to the sperm banks. I got spinach, I got broccoli, organic. If you're watching, eat spinach if you want your guy to get you pregnant. I don't really eat meat. I do eat fish once in a while because when I was in London, I had 4 pregnancies in a row. So I have like canned tuna and stuff. Here's my supplement stash. Got all this good here. I got vitamin C, I got vitamin E, I got zinc, vitamin D, B12, a multivitamin, and a few other little random ones. Where's my cup? I need to go get my cup of water. I got my cup. I use a tin can. This is just temporary. This is a temporary cup. It's my temporary cup because I don't own a cup. I take about 20 supplements a day, and that will help me get my super sample. So bananas are good just because, I don't know, just have bromine in them. It's something like that. It's like bromelain or bromine or something. There's certain things you can do to help your fertility, such as avoiding products with phthalates. I use natural toothpaste, organic coconut oil for shaving cream, and I use organic natural shampoo. Taking cold showers is good for your fertility because it increases your testosterone. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know: being constricted. You don't want to wear tight boxers or pants or anything. You know, I never wear boxers or anything. I just wear nothing. So people can just, I'm like a free bird, you know what I mean? Sitting for long periods is not good for you because it can decrease your fertility. I would say exercise is very important to my fertility. Follow my regimen and you're guaranteed to get your wife or partner pregnant.
Thanks to Kyle, I have a beautiful 3-year-old daughter. When I was 18, I was in a relationship with a woman and we wanted to have a baby. I wanted to find a private donor. I met Kyle through a friend, but he's got this website where there's conception details and information about fertility and how to contact him. I gotta hand it to him. He certainly knew a lot more than I did. What I liked about Kyle was he was very smart and he was kind of goofy and he was very healthy. He seemed like the perfect guy to father my child. The process with Kyle was artificial insemination. About 2 weeks later, I took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant overall, I was very happy. It was something I always wanted and Kyle helped me make it happen. Since my daughter was born, I've started a new relationship. My husband, Jalen, and I have been together for 3 years. Cardi, she's actually the first of my 3 children. I've got another little boy who's 2 and 1 on the way. I'm 6 months pregnant. We're so excited.
We're gonna have a house of 5, so many personalities. We have a beautiful little family. Money and I have raised Kari together. I've been there ever since she was 6 months. The fact that I did not father Kari does not bother me. I still treat her as my own. She's a daddy's girl, and so I look at her as such.
You interested in my opinion?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think it's a good idea.
For her to meet him?
Correct. I think she's not even 4 years old yet, and I think the idea of this whole concept is something that she doesn't have the constructs for and doesn't have the understanding of what that means, and I think that would be potentially confusing for her at this point. What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think you're not understanding fully, as Dr. Phil said, her emotional and mental capacity to support these kinds of concepts, but also you're going to disrupt and have a fallout. She's going to get disrupted in her relationship with your husband. It's going to make her question, who were you in a relationship with when you had her then if it wasn't him? Why did you have her when you didn't love somebody? Like a lot of questions that are conceptual that could take a child and turn them upside down and really make them go in another direction.
When I stop and think about what Kyle is doing, I get very concerned about the safety and health of these women putting themselves out there and desperately want a child. A few weeks ago, I saw Kyle's social media. At first, I felt, wow, here's this guy offering help to people that are less fortunate. But when he mentioned the physical part, it was a huge red flag. Looking at Kyle's website, I feel that it's more about glorifying himself rather than actually helping these women. It didn't feel like any medical professional or advocacy group was overseeing this website. It seemed to be just strictly Kyle. For all we know, he could be making all this stuff up. It's just Kyle being a self-proclaimed expert. I have a ton of questions. Why is it free? Does he get STD tests? Any sort of blood tests? I bring my own personal experiences to the table. I am a survivor of sexual abuse. As a young girl, I was assaulted from the ages of 8 to 11. In some ways, I am an advocate for women. What I really want is for the women that do choose to work with Kyle to really have a solid understanding of this person and what they're getting into, and hopefully avoid any pain and regrets further down the road.
What's your radar telling you that makes you the most uncomfortable with the concept?
What concerns me is that on the website, it just has medical professionals. There's not a doctor listed. There's not some sort of medical person regulating this. And I want to make sure that the women and children know 100% all of the medical, all of the psychological, everything.
Yeah.
Because the only person that's backing up Kyle is Kyle.
Yeah.
From what I can tell.
Well, that's great. I actually did do all those tests. I actually did a genetic testing on Sunday. I did a full STD test and a sperm analysis over the weekend as well. I mean, you go to a sperm bank, you know, you have a old man grandpa who uses their own to impregnate patients. I mean, that's not consent, so you're taking that big risk going to a bank. But with me, at least you know what you're getting.
You do get all of that information. All the clinics, you do get all that information. Profile, psychoanalysis, they test for 250 things. And I'm sorry, I know you said you just got tested, but was there testing prior to this?
Not before the weekend, because you can already see the kids I have, the kids that I've helped create, and you could see how they turn out.
You should take some responsibility in this. You know that you are going to these people, that these people are coming to you. It is your responsibility to make sure that you are safe and you have the tests.
I have all the tests.
But not prior to today. So
I have it now.
But what about the women before this weekend?
The kids are fine.
I understand the kids are
fine. They
fine.
can all talk to each other.
I'm talking about personal responsibility.
We also
yourself.
have the ability.
I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about you.
I never reject the idea of do genetic testing. The thing is, women feel comfortable with me to not do genetic testing.
Robin, what do you think about what Morgan's saying?
I completely support you 100%. Yes.
I live an extremely healthy lifestyle, and I'm definitely a fertility expert. I actually test theories myself. I take supplements, I do this type of lifestyle choices to see how good my fertility will be affected or not. But doctors, on the other hand, they only just look at journals and be like, okay, yeah, that works, that's gonna work, without actually testing themselves. Doctors are just bogus. All they want to do is take your money. They don't really give a about if you have a baby or not. You know, to me is I care. I actually want you to have a child. What I provide is well above and beyond what any medical doctor, fertility doctor can provide you.
Dr. Potter, what do you make of all this?
I mean, I think it's reckless. I mean, I feel that, you know, consenting adults, if they want to make some kind of arrangement to do something like this, it could be done in a much safer and less hazardous manner. The other aspect of this that concerns me is the number of children that he claims to have produced. And it creates an environment where maybe not in this generation, but the generation where that little girl, when she has kids, there's going to be the potential for unwittingly entering into a consanguineous relationship, which would, you know, result in children having a higher incidence of various genetic diseases.
Particularly because of the geographical concentration.
Absolutely.
And ethical sperm banks would generally not have more than 10 offspring in a metropolitan area, I think you were saying?
Ethical banks will limit it to, you know, 10 families in the United States, for example.
I see. You say 10, and you have 30 and
40 and 11 on the way.
But you have most of them in the LA area.
Maybe like 35 in California, but I also keep track of them, and we also, like, I have a detailed list of their locations and information. So we all, like, there is no risk of incest there between all these moms because we all keep in contact and everything.
You don't know where they're going to go or who they're
But they all know each other. That's the biggest thing here.
Well, as Dr. Potter is saying, it's the next generation where you have the problems, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Kyle, you haven't really asked for my advice, but I'm going to give you something to consider anyway. Not that you'll particularly embrace it. My advice would be, you've heard a lot of people today that have said caution is a really good rule. And when you're talking about someone's family and their children, that's a real serious thing. And I think that your intentions at the core may be good. I don't think you're some evil guy. I'm not saying that at all. But I think when you're dealing with something as serious as someone's family and child, you know, why not take the most cautious possible road that you could possibly take? And if somebody says, you know, there are 54 different things that they check off that don't come out of a blood test or whatever, I'd be finding out what the hell are they? You know, what are the kind of things that I should be checking? If you've done 40 of these things and 11 on the way, that maybe you've overstayed your welcome. And maybe you should move on to something else, like working in foster care or something. Find another passion in contributing to the world that maybe you're a little too present in the donor pool. But I just think it would be endemic upon you to listen to feedback and weigh it very carefully and see if there's value in what you've heard. This is a place that you need to be really careful and really cautious, because if you run afoul of something, then it impacts somebody's life. And hopefully you'll take some of the feedback and fold it into what you're doing.
Yeah.
He's 30 years old and has fathered 40 children.
You want to be the #1
Fertility doctor.
You don't have one day of training as a fertility doctor.
I don't have the education and training on it, but I have the experience.
New Dr. Phil. Check your local listings.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.